Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Non-Native Leader, a video podcast series where we explore stories of people who work in an international context on a global stage, but they were not born in an English-speaking country. We've been talking to leaders in NGOs, commercial, fintech, music, video makers, artists, I like to talk to different people, different profiles, and different stories. I am happy to have here with me today Gianluca or Luca, whatever you prefer. Luca is a good friend, and he's going to tell everything about it. And he's promised to share only the stories that we can share publicly. Luca, thank you very much for being here with me today.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me.
And Luca, so we start with the usual question. So who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
Yeah, let's start with something you already mentioned, the name. My name is, I was born Gianluca, but because of issues that I actually started to see in that Anglophone people, for people who are of an English native speaking countries, they had a rough time on saying Gianluca because they thought that John was John and Luca was the surname. So they always ask me, could I call you John? And also, why do you introduce yourself with both name and surname? And I'm like, no, dude, John Luca is one name altogether. It's like Jean-Luc. Oh, like the Star Trek guy. Can I call you Jean-Luc? No. So I had to shorten the name for Luca, and Luca recalls Suzanne Vega's song from the 80s. My name is Luca. So that was easy and simple for everybody. Luca was it. So I changed and switched since 2005. Now it's almost 20 years. And however, most of my friends in Rome, they used to call me Luca because Gianluca is too long.
It's too long, yeah.
Also, even a parent like Gianluca, you're really far away. Luca is shorter, they can grab you right
Exactly,
away.
that's the idea. So that's
Anyway,
that's
so
that's a great story already
that's the
in your
first story
name.
because I used to be called John and I didn't like it.
Okay,
And
okay. I've
what
always
do I
called you. I've
do?
always called you Luca. So if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
no,
I'll
I know
keep I'll
because
keep
when
calling
we
you
met,
Luca.
yeah, because when we met, I had already, made the translation into the English, but
Absolutely.
I
Great.
actually prefer that. It's shorter, it's
Okay.
direct,
Yeah.
it's no issues, so everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And where
yeah,
are
we were
you these
talking.
days? Where are you now?
I
Not
am based in a small town of 25,000 inhabitants, uh, let's say 25 kilometers south of Hamburg in Germany, in
nice.
this beautiful and green area. Why not Hamburg? Because after the Dublin experience, I really didn't want to end up in another big city.
Oh, don't
I
give
want.
away too much. You're mentioning Dublin now.
Oh
But
God, yeah. Let's keep it for later.
yeah, don't spoil it.
So I
Okay,
am here
yeah.
in near Hamburg, and I'm loving it. It's very calm, quiet, and it's something that I needed right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
And what do you do? Again, usual question.
I I work for an international, let's say, multinational firm, and I am working in finance and operations, accountancy and accounts receivable, and all that entails. I am with a group of 50 people, and we all work remotely, exception made for people who are in Cologne, because that's where the company is based, and they have access to
Absolutely.
the office.
Cool. Okay. So fully remote and fully
Yeah.
international. And yeah, it's an interesting perspective, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back, yeah, to the beginning. So you mentioned Italy,
Yeah.
Ireland,
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah.
Is this the correct order, first of all?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is. I was born in Rome, and I grew up in a small town near Rome, in the north. And I think I left Italy in 2004 because I followed my father's footsteps. He was an aeronautic Air Force officer, So I tried to work through the career, the Air Force career. But unfortunately, that wasn't for me. So I decided to leave in 2003. And after 5.5 years, and I was going to be a sergeant shortly. But I decided, no, this is not for me. And I had a cousin in Dublin and a girlfriend in Brussels. Go figure.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to go and see her in Brussels because I was meditating on moving to Brussels. And I went over, and you remember, I think there were no direct flights from Rome to Dublin back then.
Hmm.
So I had to take the Brussels as a cheaper
A
situation
stopover
rather
there.
than London Heathrow. And it's easier because you don't do this, but you do just this.
Yeah.
I went to see my girl, and then I went to visit my cousin, and I fell in love with Ireland on the first night out. And I had to tell my girlfriend that I wasn't moving to Brussels after all.
So,
And
I fell in love, not with another girl, with another country, actually.
it
How do you
was,
explain that?
I'll tell you the story later, maybe. But then eventually, 2 years ago, November 2022, so not even 2 years ago, um, I left because Ireland had changed, and because I changed, and many friends have left,
Yeah.
and I needed a change. I needed something different. I needed a challenge. I needed something that reflected who I was at the time. I was no longer the 26-year-old boy,
Of course,
And
yeah.
Dublin can be tough at times. It's very fast paced and hectic
Yeah.
to me. So, and now
Talk,
I'm here.
talking about tough and talking about experiences and talking about changing, right?
Yeah,
So you say you fell in love with the country, but
yeah.
it was all like bread and butter, or were there challenges for you at the beginning?
Well, I fell in love with the idea of it. I fell in
Oh,
love with what the locals had in relation to the country, the affection, the harmony, the rapport that the locals had with the country, with the local music. So I really wanted something like that because where I was born, there was none of it. It was a tough time. There was no much to work on. If you had one job, you had to keep it. There was no music around. I play music, and I needed that, and there was nothing there. When I moved to Ireland, I found that vision, that dream, but that was not for me to grasp
mm,
uh, like straight away. I had to work through it. So it was not bread and butter. It was rough. But first of all, as I said, like not knowing the basic of the insights of the local
mm,
characteristics of the place, the territorial separation, the provenance. I couldn't get the jokes. I couldn't get the references, and also the music. I couldn't get the music because I didn't know the background history of the local
sure.
places. So I really had to work through, and first of all, barriers of language. I knew English, but the slang, the
Yeah,
local slang,
it's different story,
the
isn't it?
yeah, the stories about you name something on a different area of the town, but I didn't know that was an area of the town. I thought that was a name. There was a lot of incongruencies and misconception from my side. So yes, the idea and the dream of it, this blueprint I had in my mind. I know what I wanted. I got it, but it took a lot of work, effort, but also I must say it was fun. It was a
It was.
good
Oh,
crack.
okay. Yeah, as they say.
Let's
But
explain then after what that means. We're not
yeah,
talking guns.
we put
Yeah.
some notes, I promise. But like, okay, so at the beginning, yeah, you had this dream, you could see it,
Yeah.
but it was somehow distant. And so, what was your strategy to get there? So, what did you do
So
really?
first of all, I left Dublin for 9 months. I literally like pointed the finger on a map. There was no Google Maps at the time. I just picked the map and I say, okay, I'm gonna get there. I moved over there. I looked for a job. I didn't want to be around tourists and other expats. I just wanted to be with the locals, know the stories, get the history of a place. And I was only 90 kilometers away from Dublin. The center of Ireland is 100 kilometers. So I just
Yeah.
was right in the middle in a place called Mullingar near
Oh, yeah,
Athlone.
sure.
And I lived there for 9 months till I felt comfortable and till I felt like I was absorbing the culture, till I felt I was blending in properly. And then I returned to Dublin, and it was a different game altogether.
Ah,
It was a
a
different game
different
because of
man.
the slang. It was a different game because I knew I had a background of what the place is, and I knew how to deal with the locals, right? And in a big city, people can be different to tourists, but if you have a local approach, they will take it as local. Irish people are very welcoming and everything. So, but I
Yeah.
needed to be on a different level to understand what they meant. So that helped. And then there was, of course, years of blending in, but that made it easier. And not being in, I'm sorry to say this, not being in touch with my own
Mm,
was really helpful to discover many faces of these population of this country. I
yeah.
learned so much not being um how could I say that? I
S-
was
So in a way, you had to take a step back, and
yes,
when
walk
it comes to
away.
identity, you had to
Yes,
take a step back.
precisely. Yeah, I was
Oh,
uh, I was getting uh, confused by the multiple
sure.
ethnicity, talking in French with someone, Spanish with somebody else, and then Italian, and so I had to literally step back to have the full view, and I felt much more. I felt like I was more free to see what I wanted to, and everybody needs to see whatever they want to see. So
Yeah,
I had a vision, and I wanted to do that, and it helped. It helped a lot.
great.
Mm.
And okay, and so now you're saying that you finally eventually got closer to your dream there. And
Yeah,
I suppose you started, blending in with the culture,
yeah,
the music, which is your great
yeah,
passion. And I suppose also job-wise. So it
yeah,
was it was easier for you, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
So, and I mean, again, give us like one or two ideas. So, what did you do really? What was your first job? How did you make a
Okay.
living in Ireland?
So the first job was in a restaurant, of course, Italian restaurant. Then I walked away, and I started work for an American steakhouse called TGI Fridays.
Mm,
I was singing the happy birthdays like in a film.
yeah, this
And
is this is something people love. This TGI
yeah,
acronym. Thank God it's
yeah.
Friday. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, it was great. I learned how to make cocktails. I learned how to upsell. I was making lots of tips. Then I left for Lufthansa. I found a job in an office. And I traveled a lot. And in Lufthansa, I also, because I was working in the morning, I had time to study some music and started to play around. So I joined the local Irish folk and traditional sessions. And I got too close to it because I started to get so passionate about it that I claimed to be playing like an Irish. But then I realized that yes, you can blend in, but certain things are just their own. Like certain things are our own in Italy. You
Sure.
have to leave them to them because that's their own blood and that's what they're born to. So I got close to learn it and I left it to them and I kept playing rock and acoustic rock and everything. I got confused for a second there. I was like distracted by this beautiful traditional music. Then
Yeah,
I kept going watching, but I stopped playing
it
to
is
start
distracting.
writing. It is distracting, exactly. And then from Lufthansa, I walked away and I got a job in a hotel because that was one of my dreams. I used to be a very huge fan of U2, the band. I say I was, now I am less, but I still liked them. I don't
Sure.
reject my past. And I got the job at the Clarence Hotel that was owned by Bono Vox
Oh,
and the Age.
yeah.
So I got the job.
Speaking about dreams coming true,
Yeah,
huh?
it took a long while, but I got the job there. I applied for, I don't know, months, I remember. And I got the job, and I got to meet Peter Gabriel. I got to talk to Led Zeppelin. I saw REM. I had a nice chat with Daniele DeVito in front of a tea. I met so many people. Bono, I have a picture with Bono uh, wishing happy birthday to my mother. It's buon compleanno, Amelia. It has been great, but the top of this was one night, the guy that was playing, this dude that was playing in the Octagon bar, the local bar of the hotel, called in sick, and they knew I played music, so they offered me to
Ooh.
play, to cover.
Wait,
And
this sounds too much like an American movie.
dude, I have videos, I have pictures, and not only I got to play in the Octagon bar in the snug at the back, acoustically, completely random. I rehearsed like an hour at home, maybe 2 hours. I returned and started play, took a break. They called me while I was on a break, after an hour, I took 15 minutes break. Hey, the boss is here. And I said, okay, tell Michael, who was the general manager, I'll be back in 5. I'm having food. No, 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 the boss is here. So I said, right, okay. So I finished the food, returned, got the big guitar back strapped on, started play, and then I looked across, and then it was Bono.
It was the
Bono
boss.
sitting with a pint of Guinness, and I remember strumming the guitar for I think what it was 50 hours, but it was in fact probably 60 seconds, thinking everything. Oh my God, I'm gonna screw this. Oh my God, I'm gonna sing badly. Oh my God, I'm gonna miss the note. Oh my God, I'm gonna
Yeah,
get the
no
wrong
pressure,
chord.
man, no pressure.
And it was like this. And I was like, God, and I was, and then I thought, there's 3 rooms in this bar. What if he was in the bar already an hour ago and he was playing?
Hey,
So damn, I'm just gonna go ahead and
that's
play.
it.
And it
Just
was
go ahead and
great.
play. Yeah.
The
How
guy
is
bought
it?
me
Yeah.
the guy bought me a pint of Guinness and get me a whiskey as well. And I know you drink these two together. And then after a week, I received a call from Ali, his wife, who wanted me to play acoustically in the background to one of her friends' uh,
Well,
painting exhibition. So I think it went well.
nice.
I got a
Nice.
picture with him, and I told him I was making up my music and recording my music, and I started to play around. I played for a year, and then I
Yeah.
stopped playing and stopped working for the hotel as I found something in the finance sector.
Wow.
And
Whoa. That's a big change.
yeah, I know. I got a job through a friend of mine, a nice guy, Simone,
Okay.
from old, he's from Oristano. Anyway,
Okay.
he
It's
got
from
me a job in
Sardinia
finance
anyway. Yeah.
because he knew me. We worked together in the Octagon bar. He was
Okay.
bar tender in there. And then I got
How come
to,
people from a bar going to finance? It seems to be quite a thing. You, your
yeah, no,
friend.
we both started that to begin with, but we didn't
Okay.
feel comfortable. We thought we were young and we thought that was a boring job. We wanted something more active.
Of
We,
course.
we liked the idea of bartending,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Well, I
nightlife and
mean,
stuff.
in a way, it was probably closer to your dream. When you mentioned
Yeah.
at the beginning you fell in love with the country. And
Yeah.
so working in a bar in such an environment was probably closer to your dream. So yeah, you did
Yeah.
well, I'd say.
But then I realized that I was getting too old, like Surgeon Martha say, I'm too old for this. So I was getting too old for that, and
I
I
see.
I had to take that way out. That was my way out of it, and I was actually regretfully taking it because I loved the environment. But then with years, I realized I did the right. I took the right turn, literally, because
Sure.
I went to help a friend after a few years at a festival, and it was like, no way. I promised to stay for the full weekend, and I said, man, I'm sorry, I'm not coming tomorrow. No, Lord,
That's it.
I have a cocktail station at home. I still do some things, and it's fine. But I do it at home. I have a barbecue on Saturday. I promise people mojitos. It's fine. But that's 5, 6 people, and they are patient. And if they're not, they can leave. But no. But
That's it.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. That was the turning point. And then I got this crazy interview at PwC, man. I didn't expect. I applied. They called me and
Yeah.
got a job, and that opened all the doors in the finance.
Absolutely. Yeah, That's
All
the,
of
that's the company really when
Yeah,
you
I
when you
spent
want
5 years with
finance.
them. Now, whatever interview I did ever since, I decided if I wanted a job or not.
Yeah. Of course you get into that mindset when you
Oh,
work for such a
I
big
think your
company.
your
Yeah.
partner worked for PwC as well. We
She
spoke
did.
about it.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while.
I remember we
Yeah.
talked about it on your day the day you were leaving Ireland, I think even.
Yeah. She did for a
Madigan.
while. And I know firsthand, like, what kind of company that is. It's really, in terms of, the exposure, in terms of the knowledge, in terms
Yeah,
of processes, it's a different story altogether. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I
I
agree.
mean, you did well, you did well. That's
But
obviously.
the story wasn't even my background because you see, I worked as a real estate agent when I was a young kid, when I was 18, and I did many courses, but most of them were about relating to people, trying to sell your own vision, and that helped 25 years after, 20 years after, because I'm telling you, it wasn't my background, it wasn't my CV,
Yeah.
it was the way every time I got a job, I was told it was the way you approached the interview. It feels like you are here, but you don't want a job. You're here just for the fun, like just to have a chat with us, and
Yeah.
then decide whether you want it or not. And
That's it. Yeah.
that's what they say. That's when we knew we wanted you. But now it's a strategy. I always adopt. I adopt that strategy all the time because if you are desperate to get a job, you're not gonna get it.
No.
You want to let go and allow things to happen themselves naturally. And that is something I found when I moved to Ireland and even here in Germany. Things are moving at a different pace. And you
Yeah.
can have the luxury of saying this and adopting these strategies, as in, okay, what can you give me? I mean, maybe I don't want it. I'm not here desperate. I want the job. So, and
Yeah.
I only ever once got the bullet.
That's
Only
it.
once I was not offered a job in my life.
Yeah. I mean, this is tons of, books and courses on
Yeah.
self-help in a
Confidence.
2-minute chat.
Yeah.
So,
Self-confidence, full awareness of your tools, your capacity, your background. Remember where you come from, what you did to get here today. That is very important. And that's what helped me with music, with everything in life. Exception made with uh, relationships, but now it's good. So, for that, I
that's
have an innate,
another.
an innate skill to ruin relationships.
Okay,
But
so we
now it's
can
good.
we
It's
can
good for
apply
five
that
years.
to we can apply that to career, we can apply that to
Everything, forget
hobbies.
about love, and we
Yeah,
can.
that's a different story altogether. Maybe you could do different series on that. But I'm not ready for that, to be honest,
Good
to be
God, yes.
frank. I'm not ready for that. Look, this is great. I mean, I love the fact that when you see it, we put together in 2 minutes, like hours and hours of, self-help and go
Yeah,
through these interview preparation things. But ultimately, the right mindset makes all the difference.
yeah,
And that is, when you come to that realization, it's great.
yeah.
And I mean, how do you get there? Like, is it like practice? Is it experience? Is it self-motivation? So how do you get to that
I
uh,
think you see,
mindset?
I
Or is it
think it.
spontaneous? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it takes. First of all, you have to have that in you because I was born a talker. For example, I couldn't think about my brother is an introvert person. I couldn't think him trying to do that. He's happy to reply to you with two words. If he can use two, he wouldn't use three. But also, I think it takes a lot of reading,
Sure.
and I never did, role playing with the mirror or anything. I just always thought, let's pretend you are in a bar sitting with some dude you just met and you're interested about his life and what he does or what she does, and let them sell it to you. And that's how I do it. And I relax. And also, let's also journey back. The most important thing is to scout the ground first for everything to me. Scout the ground, learn stuff about the company or whatever it is. When you move to a country, learn something about the country. When I moved to Ireland, I had issues because of that too. But
Mm.
one should always scout the ground, take a few months
Yeah.
there, go check the territory, start studying a little of the local history and folklore. That'll help on leaving it in a harmony when you move over. And that is the same for, I think, everything when
Yeah.
it comes to jobs, places you want to move in. You'd have to know where you're going. You have to have a
Absolutely.
plan,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah.
And when
Do
I
your
moved here to
homework. Yeah.
Germany,
Do your
yeah,
homework and study.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I moved to Germany, the day after I had my resident contract and resident certificate, the day after I had the rent certificate, 3 days after I had my social security number, I had my passport done, I had my ID redone. It was easier. I knew the steps. I
Yeah.
studied that from the outside. How do you do this? It's like Ireland. It's like different. Is it like Italy? So I
Yeah.
contacted people and I asked questions. I went into Google. So when I
Yeah.
moved over here, it was a piece of cake.
Yeah, I love the approach because it sounds really spontaneous when you say that,
Yeah,
but there's a lot of study, a lot of preparation
yeah, yeah,
behind that. So
yeah,
like study the culture. And I mean,
yeah,
as you said, if it's only about work, study the company,
yeah,
study the culture, see who the boss is, see what they talk about. And then, it becomes more spontaneous
yeah,
when you talk to people. Absolutely.
yes,
And
yeah,
yeah, so 100%. Sounds spontaneous, but there is a lot of preparation before.
yeah. I mean,
So it's,
when I moved to Ireland, it was very too spontaneous for me. Not that but it was great for the time. I was the right age to
yeah,
have this. Yeah, let's go and be crazy and see what life throws at us. But this time, I really needed to do something different.
sure.
So I am a different age.
Yeah,
It's 20 years after.
absolutely.
So
Time flies.
man, I was 26 and I'm 46
There you
exactly. So
go. You've
and
revealed
when
your
I moved
age.
here, the only problem that was encountered, I think it was the language, but it still is. I'm still learning because it's so easy here to learn to go by with English. Everybody speaks English.
Yeah,
So that wasn't a problem. But I actually decided to move to Germany a year and a half before I moved over. So, and before that, there was another year of study. Would it be Sweden? Would it be Norway? Would it be Switzerland? Would it
sure.
be UK? Would it be another part of Ireland? Would it be west of Ireland? I
Yeah,
just wanted to have a break from that place I was in.
absolutely.
And it was a big study, man. It was 2 years of study and 1 year and 30, no, 1 year and 10, no, 1 year and 6 months. No, not 1 year. I was
It was
counting
a long process, wasn't it?
like almost 1.5 years to move over here
Yeah.
after having
Wow.
studied where even.
Well, that's a great approach anyway. So
I am
study
not,
and then yeah,
yeah,
okay, be
I'm not,
prepared. We could
I'm not
say
far from, I'm actually in the same degree as at Dublin, so I wouldn't have a bit
exactly.
of too much of a shock of a temperature and weather. Then
Yeah,
the
you plan
weather
it
is very
well,
cold.
man. You plan it, man. Well, you planned
The
it well.
dragons, you know?
Dragons, yeah, looming there. That's to remind you where you started, the Air Force.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look,
No, actually, this couldn't be any further from where I am. Where I am is Hamburg. It's flat as the Netherlands, so
yeah,
there's no such thing.
that's
So
true.
just water.
No mountains, no dragons. Okay, it's a bit
No.
different, isn't it?
Well,
Look, it's been great.
yeah.
Thanks very much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your journey with me and with us. And guys, I hope you enjoyed and as much as I did. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Luca, thanks again for sticking
I
around.
want to thank you because it was great to see you again, first of all, and secondly, because I actually kind of relieved in front of my eyes these episodes of my life that I haven't thought about for a long time. It was great.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you,
I hope to
Luca.
catch up with you very soon. All right.
Bye.
Thanks again. Take care.